So Aisha, 18% of girls marry before 18 in Pakistan and 4% before the age of 50. And according to UNICEF, Pakistan has more than 19 million child brides. As Pakistan's national child rights body, how much work has the Commission done on child marriage to date and how many cases have come for it? How has the Commission used its mandate to respond when the law fails to protect children once a marriage has taken place?
Thank you, Nida, for convening this very, very important session, as this is something that's very, very close to the Commission's work. So just before answering your question, I'd like to, for the audience, tell you what the Commission's mandate is. We are not into service delivery. We don't have executive authority. We're like an independent watchdog on the governments, provincial governments. And our mandate includes a legislative and policy reform. It includes institutional strengthening, social behavior change, creating awareness, and of course steering and sponsoring research for evidence-based policy making. And since the Commission came into being, which I've headed almost 3 years now, we've advocated for legislative change to ensuring that everywhere in the country, for reasons that my colleague just alluded to, must have the same minimum age of marriage across the country. It should be raised to 18. But not just that, we've got to ensure the CNIC part over here. We advocated for in Balochistan particularly, and we continue to do so in Balochistan and Punjab, that age determination at the time of nikah is very critical. And Pakistan, unfortunately, has one of the lowest birth registration rates in the world. So it is absolutely critical that we ensure that children's birth is registered, so that when the age is determined at the time of a child, groom and bride's nikah, both should be, according to their CNIC, they should be 18 years, and not because the mother feels or gives to the nikah registrar or nikah khawan an arbitrary age over there. And I think that will go a long way in checking child marriages, in helping enforce the wonderful laws that you have here, despite some important lacuna that you pointed out. So we're working as a commission on not just ensuring that we advocate for laws in the other two provinces that raise the minimum age of a girl and boy to 18 years before they are allowed to get married, but also to make the CNIC mandatory. And then, of course, to have punishments for anyone who has helped carry out this nikah, whether it's parents, caregivers, or anyone else. That's the next thing that is being made possible over here. Now, laws are transformative on paper only unless you enforce them, as Honorable Justice has explained to us over here. And I think there it is absolutely critical that to enforce these laws, we must make the nikah khawans and nikah registrars accountable. Ensure that the punitive measures set out in these laws are carried out. And sometimes these nikah registrars, nikah khawans don't even know what the new laws say. The amendment in Punjab or the new laws in ICT as well as in Balochistan. So the Commission is advocating for working with provincial governments and local departments, NGOs, for training of nikah khawans and nikah registrars so that they understand the importance of the hazards of underage marriage too, the punitive measures that will hold them accountable if they solemnize any underage marriage over here. And I think it's important to mention here that as a commission, we try and recommend evidence-based policy reforms over here, and we've engaged in a lot of research with UNICEF, the Oxford University, to look into the religious dimensions of child marriage as well as the social and cultural aspects of it. And interestingly, you cannot enforce these laws through the police. It is predominantly all four provinces of your country, and ICT, it is the local religious leader, the local imam who came out to be the most influential person in selling the idea of underage marriage to two parents and two caregivers here. And parents generally get their child married early because of security and safety reasons, especially when girls reach the age of puberty. And that is where the Commission is also advocating for enforcement of or fulfilling the rights that the Article 25A of our Constitution guarantees our children. If these girls and parents have said to us in that research were in schools, they would not be married off that early. And very few cases, as has been said, are reported. In the Commission's almost 3 years of tenure, only 4% of complaints have been lodged regarding underage marriage or child marriage. And who's reported these? It has come to us through rights activists, in very rarely through the community. And as has been said, while your Child Marriage State Acts criminalize the child marriage, but they do not protect the child afterwards. And that is again where the Commission is working with child protection authorities, whose mandate it is to provide safe havens, shelter homes to such children, to provide social support here, better health care, so that where does that child go? You know, the law doesn't allow the marriage to be declared void. And even if you would do that, you've got to first put in place the right mechanisms for child protection over here. By the way, in this region, not in India, not in Bangladesh, do you have laws that declare marriages void right now. So I think you need a multifaceted approach over here. Laws are important, don't take me wrong here, but they alone are not going to help you prevent underage marriages. And that is where the Commission has a religious working group where we have scholars from different Islamic schools of thought, including the Council of Islamic Ideology's current head, Naimi Saab, as well as Qibla Ayaz, who was the last head, to sort of impress upon them the importance of preventing underage marriage. It is a continuing child rights violation once a child gets married underage. It affects her health, she becomes a mother early, it leads to all kinds of problems with higher maternal deaths, mortality rates, infant mortality rates, and the huge population that is growing up 2.55% also is interrelated here, because the young girls keep producing for a much longer time. So I think if they are in school instead, they will not be forced into marriage. They will have more agency in what they decide or get decisions about their marriage. So while we are advocating for legislative reform on one side, we are also advocating for bringing about a social cultural change where child marriage is not normalized. And their leaders, like political leaders who stand in your parliament, the same parliament that helped pass the ICT Child Marriage State Act, must be stopped. And the Commission has written forcefully strong letters to the standing committees of human rights, both in the Senate as well as in the Parliament, to say that they must take strong notice of this recent speech by a sitting senior member of Parliament, going against, very brazenly against an act that was passed by the same Parliament. If we continue to do this, then we cannot empower our girls, our women, our young boys who are forced into early marriage. And when I come to some other issues,
Thank you, Aisha. When it comes to child marriage, is harmonizing the law across the country enough, or do we need to go further to truly protect it?
Thank you. Thank you, Nida. I think some of this I've answered earlier, but as I said, I'm going to repeat for the sake of repetition that laws are transformative on paper only unless we see better implementation. We see entrenched social norms here, and that's why I said that it is imperative that we work on both sides, where on one side we need to ensure better enforcement, we need to hold people who are complicit here in getting their children married underage accountable, as well as in Nikah and Nikah registrars, and you have laws that penalize them much more, much better than here. So you have laws with teeth now. To do at the same time, us, the Commission, including governments, need to work at the community level, because I think we're normalizing getting our children married early. And that is where the role of influencers, whether they're religious elders, scholars, imams of masajid, whether it's doctors, pediatricians, political leaders, like Shamira herself over here, who's very progressive and helped us in this law immensely. I think we need to impress upon them the harmful effects of underage marriage. What does it do to your child? And many fathers, believe me, we work with our religious working group and religious scholars, they do not know what a fistula is and how does early marriage lead to that problem. What does multiple pregnancies in a very short period of time do to the health of his daughter? So I think that needs to be done at the same time. And I will just leave food for thought here, a recent judgment by Justice Babir Sattar, Islamat High Court 2022, Mumtaz Habibi versus Qasim, in which he said that a child who's somebody below 18 years of age cannot be deemed competent to freely grant her consent to marriage. In other words, any minor marriage cannot be considered consensual and therefore should be treated as unlawful. I'm leaving this as food for thought because this is a judgment which can help you enact a law that holds such marriages void. At the same time, a contrary argument is set forth by Sara Milkani in her book Progressive Laws in Patriarchal Societies, where she argues that most FIRs that are registered in child marriage are by parents against their children on the claim of abduction, forced marriage, or child marriage when they have self-arranged marriage. And maybe doing so will impact such marriages and not ones that are arranged by communities or parents themselves. So maybe this is something we can look into when we meet next time.